What's up everybody, welcome back to another amazing video. My name is Saki Sakura, and today's video we're actually going to be going over the Guilty Gear Strive posts, our post-patch notes. So if you are just watching the video on the 14th, right before tomorrow, Friday the 15th, we are going to be getting the biggest patch that Guilty Gear has received since the launch of the game. Now I'm really excited to really read through all of these notes. I've actually read already the one and true husbando. I've already read through his. However, don't fret. We're going to go through every one of these characters. I also have some footage that we're actually going to get to see and also compare. So don't go anywhere. We're going to enjoy, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. So perfect. So here we go. So this is going to be some of the general changes. So they added the support for the PS4 event tournament feature. Basically, you press the triangle button at the main menu and it displays any of the upcoming PlayStation tournaments, and it will automatically match players with their opponents. This is actually such a good change, a healthy change for sure for many of us who are participating in ESL. If you haven't seen any of my previous videos, you should definitely check them out. I do have some tournament ESL runs that have already been posted both for Mortal Kombat and Guilty Gear Strive, so be sure to check those videos out. But this is huge because with Guilty Gear Strive, we had to create the lobbies and then report manually. Now hopefully we'll be able to actually do this automatically, and it's such a healthy change and a lot easier to actually get it done. And of course, if you want to sign up for any more PlayStation tournaments, be sure to check out compete.playstation.com so you can sign up for all of those ESL tournaments. Of course, this is a feature that's not supported on the PS5 or on the PS4 version when you're running on a PS5 console. So of course, if you are on PS5, you do have to run it on PS4 to participate in these ESL tournaments to be able to matchmake with the other players, but you still need to do this manually. That's basically what it's saying. They finally reduced the network connection time upon login. Chef's kiss, about damn time, okay? I did not want to play a speed run of Castlevania every single time I was actually logging into Strive. So hopefully this time actually really helps. And I'm really excited to actually just dive into the game like I'm supposed to for Guilty Gear Strive. But here we go. So let's look over the universal mechanics. Overall changes. We revised the overall functions of projectile special moves, aerial attacks, and anti-airs. Some projectile special moves now have less recovery, making them easier to use in neutral. In accordance with this buff to projectiles, we have also increased the benefit gained from landing aerial attacks. Many characters can now deal more damage than before on counter hit. By increasing the number of moves that can be cancelled into air dashes, it is now easier to launch an offensive after the opponent blocks your aerial attack. So honestly, the best way I can think of this is that yeah, you're gonna block on aerial, but it still might be your turn, I believe. So you can probably play around with like frame traps. You can actually kind of get in and start a pressure, especially if I feel like this was sort of like what Soul was able to do prior to this patch. Now a lot of the characters can continue to do so, or can at least start doing that and involving that in their game plan. Anti-air attacks have also been buffed, which is great because you don't want people to just jump in for free. In particular, by increasing the reward gained from a counter hit forward P, so that's I believe your 6P, making it easier to include special moves. So that means that if you're going to try to use your forward P, you can lane it to any of your special moves. And this is pretty big for some of the characters, which you'll see in a second as we go through these character lists. It was our intent to remove the disparity between characters when it came to their options after 6P. We revised the startup of the fastest normal moves. Characters whose fastest moves had more startup than others now have faster startups on their punch attacks, for example. Although it's going to vary, it generally makes it so that characters can counter throws on wake up as a general rule. So what this means is that instead of them like waking up, like for example, perfect example, Anji's moves, you know, some of his buttons are not the best. Hopefully with this change, this means that you're not going to just meaty with a throw, you're probably gonna end up countering it, if anything. input buffer. So this is actually really cool. By increasing the time window for input buffering, it has become easier to act on the earliest possible frame. We have previously chosen to keep the time window limited, as making inputs at the correct time is a technique in and of itself. However, we have increased the time window to account for play under different circumstances, such as online matches. So offline matches. So online, it has become easier. Obviously they've done this to really like force, like, you kind of need to do skill over just like putting in a basic combo. However, it looks like, you know, that does come into play a lot when you play offline matches. So they've been able to actually update that so that offline feels almost as similar. Now, of course, this is not counting in for the fact if you're on console or if you're on PC or if you're on a monitor that's not, you know, meant for fighting games. Because why would you be on a monitor for fighting games? Yeah, if this is supposed to help with a lot of like some of the hardest combos that you're trying to enter, hopefully making them a little bit easier. I believe this input buffer also benefits like characters like Jacko, where the inputs are a lot harder to actually execute compared to some of the other characters that are in the game. Like Anji is really simple, right? But when you look at characters like Jacko or Goldlewis, it's a lot different. Startup for mix-up moves. We think of overheads in this game as falling into two categories: overheads that are difficult to react to, for example standard dust attacks, and overheads that are easily reacted to unless taken by surprise, for example fully charged dust attacks. We have revised the startup frames for moves that fall in between these categories, oh my gosh, I can't English, which are various levels of difficult to react to depending on the player and environment. So it looks like they might have changed a little bit on like as far as like categorizing. I think this was pretty interesting to see, because when you look at how Guilty Gear plays, some stuff kind of like Guilty Gear is very, very reliant on you making the best read and not so much as making like things on reaction. So you get punished hard for making the wrong read, which is, in a way, it's good, but you also get punished too if you react. It sort of like punishes people who are more reactionary than actual reads. It's not saying which one is either better, it's just when you have a game that's like really focused on making those reads more focused, that's what happened with throws, that's where it can kind of get a little crazy. So it looks like they were trying to revise that and kind of considering that as well. Throws. We have extended the time window for throw clashes, which previously only worked when input at almost the exact same time as the opponent's throw. This is pretty something that, as someone who came from the NRS scene, was really hard to get used to, because in the NRS scene and in our NRS games, you have a pretty free input timing to actually tech the throw, whereas in Guilty Gear it's not really standard to tech a throw. It's more of like you either duck or you kind of don't really think twice about it. And for them to actually give an extended time window to actually try to tech the throw is pretty cool. I like this change a lot. As there were times when the clash would not occur even when the player successfully predicted the opponent's throw, this change makes it easier to counter opponent's throws with your own. Again, it's something that I really, really like from this patch already. I know I was very frustrated with throws. Melty Blood, I haven't experienced that. I feel like I have actually like a better idea for throws, but yeah, it's really nice to actually be able to just have that input timing where I didn't have it before. It is also now possible to Roman cancel at any point during the animation of throws, which is excluding the overdrives. It's possible to Roman cancel after an unsuccessful throw to cover up for the whiff recovery. This is something that I've seen happen a lot. I like it. Adds more mind games to throw. I feel like that's like a better price to pay than having an unreactable throw, and you can either tech it or you can either whiff it and then do the Roman cancel for a pretty cool whiff punish if you look at it like that. This change makes it possible to spend meter to Roman cancel after a successful throw as well. So I think this is more universal. I know not every character had the ability to do this, or at least the ability to do this optimally. So this is a very interesting change for sure. Base damage scaling of special moves. Although this varies between characters, we have increased base damage scaling on strong offensive special moves and combo starter moves. So a lot of the characters you've kind of seen that do a lot of damage, they've done damage scaling, which is something that I feel like probably the biggest complaint about the current version of Guilty Gear before this patch is the fact that there's so much damage, not just for characters that are glass cannons, but characters who have high guts and are still getting killed within like one touch deaths. So this is actually probably the best healthy thing that they could have done, and we'll definitely see what kind of damage we're looking at as we get down through the list of the characters. Faultless defense. So if you don't know what faultless defense is, it's basically using your tension bar to actually block. Previously, faultless defense had somewhat longer block stun than standard blocking. However, as it was not rewarding enough overall to spend tension gauge on, the block stun has been charged to match standard blocking. So again, something that's really healthy too. You just don't want to introduce a mechanic and you kind of like not actually follow up with why the mechanic is pretty like important. So this is actually really, really healthy, especially when it comes down to actually trying to force players to use their meter more than just for Roman cancels and supers. So I'm really excited to see it. Another thing too is that a lot of characters kind of like, you kind of had to faultless defense because it's part of the actual like strategy against them, but to be able to actually be able to use it and not feel so limited is going to be pretty interesting to see. For certain moves that don't cause significant knockback on block, faultless defense wouldn't open up much distance between the player and opponent previously. There's now a minimum amount of distance that can be created when using faultless defense. Combined with the changes made to guard crush moves, there is now greater merit to using faultless defense against any move. Yeah, so that's the thing, is like now if you're going to use faultless defense, it's going to push you back at least a minimum, so you're not going to be so suffocated as if you were trying to block regularly. So I'm really excited for this. I'm really excited to try to implement this in my game plan, and I think we're going to see a lot of interesting things. I don't think it's gonna change Guilty Gear's offensive measures, because we have to remember Guilty Gear is an offensive game, but it's definitely gonna make the defensive part of the game a little more rewarding for those that do focus on defense, for those that actually do struggle with trying to keep up an offensive play, especially if your character is not that fast like Soul or Chipp or Millia or things like that. So this is just going through the actual moves themselves. So obviously we talked about the input buffer having a buffed time window, throws of all types. So it looks like the biggest thing after what was said up front, increased time window for throw clashes, no longer causes a throw clash if the player is pressing a button other than D. A Roman cancel cannot be performed after a successful throw, even during the animation. Alter the damage distribution, and red Roman cancel activate conditions for some of the throw moves. Air throws, successful throw no longer increases the wall break value, which I think that was kind of dumb, because you're not throwing them against the wall, you're just throwing them for a hard knockdown. Counters, fix the bug where under certain conditions the timing when the character hit by a counter attack during slowdown would be later than intended. Increase the length of slowdown caused when the counter hit lands, and adjusted the visual counter hit effect. I think this is probably one of the things that we kind of saw a lot happen, especially offline, is that slowdown, so hopefully this actually does fix it. Remove the damage scaling during the slowdown of red and purple Roman cancels. I like this because it actually means that you're going to get some more damage even if you do the Roman cancel. It's now possible to Roman cancel during a jump animation. Love it. Red Roman cancel will no longer activate during movements such as backdash and dash and backdash. That's interesting. Will no longer activate during moments such as dash and backdash. I'm gonna be interested to see what this means. I think what this means is that instead we're probably gonna get a blue Roman cancel instead, which I'm very intrigued. I'm very intrigued. Overdrives no longer negate slowdown on activation. Activating Roman cancel during an overdrive now causes a slowdown, and fix the bug where it was possible to activate Roman cancel at the same time as super flash under certain conditions. Homing jump, it's no longer possible to activate roaming cancel during the dust attack follow-up, and adjusted the visual dust attack follow-up effect. Wall stick. Fix a bug where the character's position would change when stuck to the wall under certain conditions. And then wall break. Fix the bug where the wall break value would not be reset after the animation when a wall break occurs under certain conditions. I think they patched the bug where the character's position would change. I feel like this might be what people were trying to do on that wall stick, but I'm not too sure. It would be very interesting to see how people are actually going to try to look at this for. You expanded the hitbox on the Psych Burst, which is really interesting. I'm pretty sure this is probably like when you have like chips jumping all over you. Clashes to fixes, clashes on projectiles. And it looks like when the two projectiles clash, it's the projectile with a lower clash level. So that'll be interesting to see. Jump slash has the move now triggers the counter effect, can now be jump cancelled and air dash cancelled, and added the gatling room to jump dust. Jump heavy slash, basically it looks like these can actually now trigger some of the counter effects, as well as adding that route to using dust in your optimal combos. Jump D is now triggers the counter effect. It looks like the only characters though that don't get that is going to be Kai and Jacko. Block, remove the increased block stun caused upon successful flawless defense, which again is really good. Successful flawless defense now causes a set amount of knockback. Again, really good because I want to be able to get knockback. That's why I'm doing the flawless defense, so I can get that pressure away from me. Even when the return knockback is overridden by a projectile, a set amount of knockback will now remain. So if, like, let's say I think a Kai tries to use a projectile and your flawless block defense or flawless defense, I think you still get a pushback, which is really nice. Added the difference in position height with the opponent to the conditions for entering a blocking stance before an opponent's attack. And Guard Crush, the knockback caused by instant block and faultless defense will now change when Guard Crushed by the opponent's attack. When attack hits an opponent in the Guard Crush animation, that attack is treated as the first move in a combo. So if you get Guard Crush, you're gonna get fucked, is basically what I see from that. One major point is that we have now changed Bandit Revolver functions. While originally it could not only be followed up on hit automatically, the follow-up on hit can now perform via manual input regardless of the situation. It can now be used in more ways, such as maximizing the reward off of a counter hit from normal moves such as Crouching Slash, as well as others used outside of combos. In accordance to the changes to 6P and Bandit Revolver, the WoW bounce effect of 6P in the stage corner has been removed. Soul has access to major damage when he lands a clean hit Volcanic Viper, heavy slash version, and however the high damage and practicality of 6P into Volcanic Viper heavy slash version in the stage corner was so strong that there was no need to use other combo routes. But this is really interesting because this just kind of like means that now Bandit Revolver is kind of fixed for providing not more damage, but providing more inventive ways to actually include this. And yeah, it's like a high rewarding option, so now you can actually use Bandit Bringer on a lot more combos than before. Kai Greatly, so this is Kai Kisuke. Kai Greatly benefits from the buff to projectile special moves, as it is now easier to take control of neutral by using Stun Edge as a poke. We have previously intentionally set relatively high recovery projectiles to prevent making their opponents or making their ability to lock the opponent down too powerful. This resulted in Stun Edge having limited use, which was a stressful element of playing Kai. We have reduced the overall length of the action while maintaining the original lockdown capabilities of the attack, making it easier to use in neutral. We have also increased the chip damage on block, making it more rewarding to make the opponent block Stun Edge in neutral. And we have increased the benefits of using Dragon Install due to its comparatively low damage as an overdrive. I'm interested to see, but I feel like this might be not something that is gonna matter. A lot of Kais really don't do that, like don't really do Dragon Install anyways, except for just trying to get more damage, but we'll definitely see. I'm interested to see how the Stun Edge is gonna have a play in this. It's like they said, you know, you could have a Stun Edge happening, right, and in the neutral, it might not be the best. I think you probably would have to do like arc or something. But now with actual increased chip damage on the block, it's gonna probably be more rewarding for them. So that'll be interesting. Right, let's look at the demon, spawn of Satan herself, May. These balance changes increase the return of landing aerial attacks. Combined with additional Gatling routes for aerial normal moves, this greatly develops aerial combos. I think someone mentioned about the aerial combos and how they wanted to see more about that. We adjusted the hit effects of Uncharged Forward Heavy Slash as it was not commonly used and less rewarding than her other normal moves. Due to now being easier to follow up on and overall damage increase, we have removed the wall bounce effect. However, her combos in the stage corner remain powerful as it's now easier to combo from her sweep into Mr. Dolphin. Previously, the counter strategy to Mr. Dolphin had to beat it with fast moves such as Standing P. However, in order to prepare for more counters to lunging attacks, it is now more likely to lose to 6P as well. Finally. Oh, just 6P it, Saki. Finally, I can just 6P it. Thanks. Couldn't do it before, but finally. Alright, so we have Axl. Axl benefits greatly from the overall changes to fast normals and aerial attacks. Fantastic. As an example, on counter hit, his jump slash can be followed up using an air dash cancel. As his options about landing attack are now more powerful, we have revised the function of each of his normals, so the player must use each of his aerial normals for distinct purposes. Alright, let's look at these Chipp ones. Alpha Blade is now easier to use in combos and strings. Combined with changes to Crouching Heavy Slash, he has now more options to lead into combos mid-screen. Due to these changes and the ability to follow up after bounding off to the stage corner, he has access to greater reward. His mix-up, however, has somewhat increased startup as it was overly influenced by individual reaction times and plate environments. This is another spawn of Satan. You Potemkin mains. You and me, we have issues. Okay? In accordance with the general direction of making anti-airs easier to combo off of, his 6P can now be special canceled. This is what I meant by now 6Ps actually being able to special cancel into some of the specials. By canceling it into Heat Nickel, he can now continue his offense both on hit and on block. I hope you're happy, Potemkin mains. Y'all suck. Standing Far Slash now connects into Slide Head on a non-counter aerial hit, making for greater return on hit in neutral. On the other hand, due to the changes to Faultless Defense, Garuda Impact has lost some of its ability to maintain his offense. All of this for Garuda Impact to be nerfed, but at what cost? This is an interesting change for Faust. Faust is also a character that also received the buff. I'm interested to see if this is good for the Faust players. I'm generally wondering if this is something that can like actually help Faust, especially when it comes down to like just all of the buffs that people were asking him for. So the love, which is like the Faust head that gets thrown out, now has different properties when you're using it while Faust is in the Afro state. The properties are stronger, as the explosion will only hit the opponent, making it beneficial for Faust either to take the Afro item himself or for the opponent to take it when it appears via Could This Be. So even though the Afro probably still has that like extended hitbox, this is actually pretty interesting because now Faust actually has a reason to pick up some of his items because it's going to help with his offense. So that's going to be interesting. Changes to the donut and banana make it more likely to receive a beneficial item when repeatedly using What Could This Be? And Crouching Slash has been greatly buffed as a preemptive anti-air, making his anti-air capabilities greatly improved when combined with the ability to follow up on his 6P. Because of the overall balance change to damage distribution, the damage caused by Snip Snip is less impacted by the opponent's character and current health. I believe they also made the change where if you do get hit by this command grab, it no longer gives you an Afro. Why they would do that, I can only imagine it's because of, it could be many. It could be honestly for any reason in that particular thing as far as like just trying to get it out. So we have Millia Rage. So she has also been buffed as well. Her special moves have been buffed overall due to Mizra and Turbo Fall being special cancelable. Many characters gain access to 4 air dash cancels for their area attacks. However, only Millia has gained access to aerial backdash cancels, which mainly strengthens her mix-up. Previously, her standing far slash would beat most characters 6p, however this has been more difficult due to the buffs to the situation after it hits. The hurt box has been reduced to match this change, and the changes to Mizra and Tandem Top make it easier to get higher return. And forward K can now be special cancelled and combos into Lust Shaker and other moves. So basically fitting Millia with her changes as well. And they also look like they fixed Winger, so they actually have a so it actually has like a better hitbox. Right, we have Zato. The amount of Eddy gauge expended for command inputs while Eddy is summoned has been decreased, although Zato will perform motions on activation as well. This opens up new potential setups with Eddy. The range of Invite Hell has been improved as it would often fail to connect when cancelled into from normals. And 4K can now be special cancelled to distinguish its use from Dust Attack. Its startup is no longer making it easier to block, but Zato faces less risk using it solo and can follow up with the further setups while using it in tandem with Eddy. So they buffed him in the sense that his setups now make it more worthy to actually use. Ramathol got a list of buffs. A list of fixes. What exactly is a buff or a fix? Well, we'll find out pretty soon. Due to the reduction of knockback for standing far slash, it is easier to connect into Dauru on cancel. The increased knockback to standing heavy slash makes the situation after hit similar to how it previously was after landing standing slash into heavy slash. The properties of Jump Heavy Slash and Jump D have been adjusted to the large benefit gained from additional Gatling routes. And due to being an overhead, it was difficult to buff Sildo Detro, and it was useful in limited situations. By making it mid, it can now be used more freely in neutral and in strings. So she's basically become honest mid's Ramlethal. So this is now a move that is actually mid instead of being the overhead. When dash canceling Era Lumo, the initial dash startup can now be special cancelled, opening up potential strings. Since canceling from standing far slash S or crouching slash makes a tight block string, this means you can launch a powerful offense after making the opponent block a grounded poke. Leo. They said that he was nerfed, but I don't think so. I think they buffed him, but we'll see when the time comes. But the timing he can cancel into guard point follow-up moves has been sped up due to the long overall recovery of standing far slash and standing heavy slash. Forward heavy slash can now be comboed into from crouching S counter hit and other moves. So yeah, there's that. They buffed Nagoriyuki. So Shizuriyuki has been greatly changed from its former function, and the downward swing can now be manually activated by a heavy slash button input. With the buffs to the startup time, it is now easier to use as an anti-air or punish. And Zara Miyuki is now a powerful option in neutral and strings at mid-range. So this Shizuriyuki is probably the biggest one. That is pretty nice as well, because it now can be used as the anti-air or the punish. I believe they mentioned something about the blood range where sometimes they would get clash or reflected. That's not going to happen anymore. Giovanna got buffs, so now she can now quickly perform normals after her dash, which are greatly improving her neutral setups and strings overall. Her crouching slash would sometimes whiff oddly depending on the opponent's character after a counter hit, so they improved its range. And Sol Nascente works better against aerial attacks, will now be more likely to lose to grounded attacks, solidifying its role as an anti-air, which I'm okay with. Remember, it's supposed to be an aerial attack, or an anti-air, so I rather it lose as the anti-air, as the grounded move than as an anti-air. Anji Mito. I'm so excited for this. So they have revised the properties of Shitsu, so it can be used outside of Okizemi, meaning that it is now properly buffed. It can be cancelled into from normals and used at mid-range more easily. His standard throw has also been changed in accordance with Shitsu, making it easier to carry the opponent into the stage corner. By making the startup of Fujin faster, it can now be linked into from far standing slash and crouching slash, which I'm really cool with because that's something that tend to do sometimes. And Ko is easier to use in combos and also stronger as an anti-air, which is something that I already was doing before. As the opponent floats less, jump attacks after Kuo can connect more easily. As the second hit now causes a guard crush, we have guard crushes now. You can also continue your offense now when the opponent blocks it. We have addressed the problem where his 6P would struggle to connect due to being shorter horizontally than other characters. So they buffed his 6P, they buffed Ko, they helped Fujin buff it into other moves, and then they buffed Butterfly. I am a happy person. It has now been 2 patches that my buddy, my husbando, my hubby has gotten his buffs, and I approve this message. Standing far slash now works better as a preemptive poke. The hitbox has been expanded with little change to the hurtbox. Although it doesn't lead to major direct reward, it works well as poke against opponents who are watching for a hover dash. And an antidepressant scale has been changed to be more useful in neutral while remaining strong as Okuzemi. I like it. That's a pretty decent buff to Ino as well. And then we have Goldlewis. Using Aerial Behemoth Typhoon from an air dash allows him to move an extremely long distance, which, combined with the changes to his forward dash hurtbox, significantly improves his ability to approach from a distance. They buffed Goldlewis. As Skyfish was previously safer to use at a lower security level, it is now possible to cancel the animation with an additional input to address this issue. The reduction of its startup also makes it powerful in both neutral and combos. So they gave Goldlewis a buff. Well, and then Jacko is probably another big character that got changed, and not how you think. It has been more to help with the inputs. It is actually now where she can actually perform some of the inputs regarding her servants. So they changed it. So if you're a Jacko main and you were used to the inputs before, definitely take a look at what exactly you're supposed to do now, because y'all got changed, and I'm sorry. It is now easier for her standing heavy slash to connect after the edge of standing far slash. Changing inputs regarding her servants has made it easier to avoid accidentally performing other attacks while also improving the ease of execution. She can now perform overdrives even while lifting a servant, and she can now quickly punish the opponent with Forever Elysian Driver and perform new sit play using Cheer Servant on. So it doesn't sound like a lot happened to Jacko, except that it just made it a little bit easier for stuff to connect, especially with her super. So that's going to be interesting to see as well. And I know that with this patch, they are going to add that new character. So I'm definitely interested to see who the new character is, as far as who exactly will be. But yeah, so that is today's video. Thank you so much everyone for watching. If you want to have more info on the patch notes themselves, I will have the link in the bottom with the current patch notes, as well as timestamps for any of the people who want to go straight to their character. So I hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you. And if you want anything else to see, or you want to provide some feedback, or even want to comment on what you thought about the patch notes, you can use the comments below. And yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next stream / video. Bye, memes. Yo! Oh my god! Oh my god, oh my god. Can someone clip that? Yo! Oh.